NASCAR just wrapped up their road course race at Sonoma, and Martin Truex Jr. stunk up the show. We'll talk about that and more coming up.
Wynn's gonna punch his ticket to the championship four.
Got him this time. Oh, he turned it!
No! Make room! Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. There's another 7-time champ. By Logano, maybe no. Kenza takes him out.
Look, using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. 3 flags in the air.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening. NASCAR race at a road course in Sonoma. Pretty much of a snooze fest. That's kind of where I'm going to start this episode off with. Martin Truex Jr., in the way Martin Truex Jr. wins races, he dominated and stunk up the show. Frankly, as that, Clint Boyer said it best, stunk up the show, and that is that. Really not much more you can talk about. The majority of this race was spent by Truex leading laps, and it's so hard to pass at road courses, nearly impossible when someone gets out there up front, and Truex was able to really just soar ahead from the rest of the pack. The more bigger story is the significance of this win for Truex. He's able to get his second win on the year, second win for Joe Gibbs Racing. That's 2 now for Truex, a guy that barely had any wins last season. Struggled to get performance. And when Truex is on his game, he's a force to be reckoning with. So I would watch out now. I think, we saw it with Kyle Busch last week. Coming out, winning 3 in a row, all of a sudden he's threat number 1. Finished second in today's race. Also a big accomplishment. And then you see it with Truex. Truex comes out, he runs a really solid race, and now all of a sudden he's on the radar as a championship contender, and he should be. He's a really good race car driver, and when he's on his game, he can do really much of anything. The speed in that 19 car as of late has been very consistent. They've been running very good and running up towards the front of the pack. And today was one of those days. The 19 in Martin Truex Jr. is one of the best at road courses. It used to be overshadowed by how good the 9 car is, but that 19 has always been very good at the road courses. That road course program for Toyota has really developed into something to be a very big threat. So that team deserves that win all the way around. Working hard. Sonoma is a big racetrack for them. They like to win. They like to win at road courses, and they normally do it. They normally win at road courses quite a bit, and they did it again today. There's not really much else to say about this win for Truex. It was a big one in the standings-wise. It puts him to 2 wins, just behind Kyle Busch and William Byron. It starts to get the conversation started again about Martin Truex Jr. being a threat to win a championship, because Truex is a threat. He's a threat in the playoffs. He's a threat in the regular season, so watch that. Obviously, today was a road course without cautions, and it did actually show to be a decision maker in today's race. And a couple great strategies by drivers like Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, some other drivers were able to run some strategy, and Kyle Busch was one of the ones who ran it the best. He got to 2nd place for today's finish, and mainly because of that strategy. But once he got in the same tires as Martin Truex Jr., he really had something for him. I thought maybe he would get a pass. I think if we got another caution, Kyle Busch might have been able to get it there and get the win. With all that said, though, KB had a great race on strategy. A couple other strategies from a couple other drivers maybe benefit him, maybe not. But I have to agree, in a road course race, the way to go is no cautions. That's the way to go. And on the second half of that, I want to talk, when you have it's very hard to pass and all of that, you don't lose a lap, and you get in these races with other people, it's good. It's good to see the field have many different storylines going on, because I really think that's the only thing that can save a road course race, especially a snoozer like today, especially a snoozer like Coda. I feel like this is the thing that can come in and save it from being a all-out horrid race. So for that, I give it a credit. The strategy element in a road course is what would save a road course. If a guy's in the last lap and he could run out of fuel, and the guy behind him could run out of fuel, and the guy behind him could run out of fuel, that would develop an interesting dynamic into a race. And NASCAR needs to find a way to make that happen. That's what makes Pocono such a good racetrack sometimes, is when it becomes a fuel strategy race. Like it did a couple years ago. And like it has in the history. And what makes these road courses also unique and good is how they can become a fuel mileage race. That didn't come into play today, but there's times where that will come into play. And I think that also means we have to push back on the reliance on the tire. Make a more strengthy tire so they don't have to pit, and it's more of a fuel game. I'm on board with that for a road course. Make them not have to pit. Make it more of a game of fuel strategy, and I think we should really be promoting that if you were NASCAR. So that's my thoughts on all that. Let's take a look at the finishing results. Martin Truex Jr., second win of the season. Big win for the 19 team. Kyle Busch, I mentioned it. Strategy put him there, and he stayed there, had a fast car in that Chevrolet. That short track program was where he thought he was struggling, and the road courses are the same package as short track. So watch out for that 8 car. Logano had a decent day, finished third. Chris Buescher, round of applause for him, had a solid day all day long in fourth. Chase Elliott in fifth, ran a different off strategy for a little while. Ends up coming home with fifth. That team really just needs a win. So I like that I saw them going for it, like that they were playing strategy game. Adrian Allmendinger in sixth place. Michael McDowell, a good road course guy, road course ringer, in seventh. Kyle Larson in eighth. I'm actually disappointed that Kyle Larson didn't run better today. He's normally really, really good at these tracks. Christopher Bell, another guy, in ninth. Ross Chastain, up and down day, finished in the top 10. Kevin Harvick, same deal, in 11th. Stenhouse got a top 15, a solid run for him. Ryan Preece in 13th. William Byron, the guy that ran pretty well at COTA, not really in the picture today, finished 14th. Now exposing his Chevy teammate in 15th. Some of these guys outside the top 10 that actually had a really decent day going for him. Blaney had a chance there and just went off the rails. Reddick, another guy who, again, just tough go at the end of that race. And Denny Hamlin broke the toe link. Nothing you do about that. All right, so we talked a little bit about the racing. We're going to get back to that when we hit the gas or hit the brakes, but quickly want to talk about Fox. Today was the end of the road for Fox Sports, and I'm sure many of you NASCAR fans are rejoicing. And part of me is rejoicing as well. I am always been Team USA CBS Network, NBC Network. They are way better, and they produce a better product of NASCAR. We'll see what they do this year. You know, we can't say which one's better until we get the USA product. I looked at the USA lineup. The championship races on USA Network. They only have a couple races on the big boy NBC Network, which means that's something that Fox does a lot better than NBC does. Fox puts NASCAR on the biggest stage every single week. Almost every single week. They're on Big Fox. Is the product that we're getting from Fox the best? No. But is it going to attract more eyeballs? Yeah. When you're on Fox, it's going to attract more eyeballs. Arguably, USA could bring some eyeballs in as well. It's a big network. But NBC's a bigger network. Fox is way bigger than FS1. And Fox is way bigger than USA. So that's one thing that Fox does really well is they put NASCAR in the spotlight for their schedule. And that is something I applaud them for. NASCAR races, being in big networks, they're deserving of it. They're deserving of it. But the on-air talent, Clint Boyer, is starting to wear on me a little bit. Clint doesn't really analyze the race. He more of just tells these things, but doesn't really give analysis to it. Today, Jamie McMurray was a great analyst. I really think it should be Jamie McMurray, Kevin Harvick, and Mike Joy. And we don't know how much longer in the tank Mike Joy has. He'll probably work out next year with the last year on the contract. Kevin Harvick's going to jump in the booth next year for Fox. We're all interesting things. We're going to see how it all works out. But I personally enjoyed Jamie Mack. But all in all, this Fox season was tough. It was really tough. And NASCAR fans had to plow through a lot of stuff, especially in the beginning of the season. It got better as the year went. But if I had to hit the gas or hit the brakes in the Fox season, it would be a hit the brakes. It would be a D, maybe a low C. It was a really tough season for them. They're going to have to pick it up. So that's that. Excited to see what NBC does. We do have an off week this week, so here we go with hit the gas or hit the brakes. Like I said, road course racing, not my jam. And today really proved that to me. Couldn't pass. Really had a tough time running cars down. So for that, I'm going to have to hit the brakes here. Like I said, there's no passing. It's boring. The battles barely happen. Restarts are the only exciting part of this race. Kyle Busch looked like they had him for maybe half of a lap, and then it faded off. And most of the times when Truex is winning, it's a snooze fest. So for that, I'm hitting the brakes. I'm going to have to give this race a D-, a really low score here for the end of the year for Fox, the end of the year for this first half of the season. Road courses aren't my thing, and maybe that gives me a little biased opinion, but I don't know. If you can give it a better score, let me know. This race didn't have the strategy element. it didn't have a dramatic element, and for the most of the race, it was almost unbearable to watch because of how boring it was. So for that, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news and give this race a D-. Let me know what you would do down below in the comment section down below. Have a great week. It's an off week for NASCAR, so we'll come at you later this week, probably with a Stanley Cup reaction video. But until then, I'm Cameron Simpson. Peace out.